Thought losing my tech job and retreating to my grandma's old cabin was the lowest I could go until the HOA slapped a no-access sign on the only bridge to my place. Suddenly, I'm trapped in a gated community I never signed up for, with a retired history teacher as the gatekeeper, dishing out fines like they're pop quiz grades. From mailbox sizes to my lack of community spirit, she's got me pinned. It's like detention from someone who never left the principal's office. But here's the twist. While they're busy enforcing their precious bylaws, they missed one little detail. That bridge. It's not theirs. And after digging through some dusty files, I'm about to teach this HOA what real community standards look like. You think you've hit rock bottom when you lose your job and move to a rundown cabin. But then the HOA blocks your only way in, and you realize the real fight's just beginning. 6 months ago, I got canned from my tech job in Seattle. I'd built an app that sniffed out data leaks, but when it exposed a big corporation's weak spots, they blacklisted me from the industry. My divorce was final, my bank account was gasping, and the cabin I inherited from my grandma was my last shot at free rent while I figured things out. It sat on the edge of Willow Creek, a small cluster of about 30 homes that had popped up over the last 20 years. Grandma owned her land since the 1940s, long before any HOA existed. As I stared at the no-access sign on the bridge, a woman in a stiff gray blazer marched up to my truck. Her glasses made her eyes look comically large, and she clutched a clipboard like a shield. Her silver hair was in a bun so tight it could have held up a building. "Excuse me," she said as I rolled down my window. "I'm Helen Whitaker, president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association. You can't park here. This bridge is community property, and unauthorized vehicles are prohibited." Her voice had that polished lecture hall tone, like she was about to make me recite the Bill of Rights. I stayed calm, introducing myself as Jake Sullivan, explaining that my grandma owned the cabin across the bridge, and I'd inherited it 6 months ago. I showed her the deed and tax bills sent to my Seattle address. Helen barely glanced at them before launching into a spiel about community standards and proper protocols. "Mr. Sullivan," she said, adjusting her glasses with a shaky hand, "I taught history for 25 years, so I know how systems work. Owning property doesn't mean free reign. This bridge serves the whole community, and we have rules." She pulled out a citation book, scribbled, paused like she was rethinking, then kept going. "Your flag is also out of compliance. Guidelines. State personal flags can't exceed a 2.1 ratio compared to the HOA's display." I glanced at my little flag on the cabin porch, then at the giant HOA banner at the community gate. The math was nonsense, but I wasn't about to argue day one. I took the citation for improper flag display and asked for the community handbook. Helen's smile screamed, "Gotcha. All residents get a handbook upon proper HOA registration. Since your grandma never registered, you'll need full orientation." She handed me a packet thicker than a dictionary. That night, I dove into the handbook. The rules were insane. Lawn height, paint shades, mailbox designs, even car parking angles. It felt like the HOA wanted to control your every move. Fines for visible trash cans, unapproved garden decor, everything. Some rules contradicted each other, and many were recent additions. The original covenants from Willow Creek's early days were way simpler. As I crashed for the night, something felt wrong. Grandma lived here for decades, and I'd visited as a kid. No HOA drama, no bridge sign. I planned to hit the county office tomorrow to check records. Oh, and twice. That evening, headlights crept past my cabin. When I looked, the car was gone. Creepy. Following Helen's rules was like chasing a ghost. Next morning, a citation was taped to my door for a mailbox, 1.5 inches below regulation height. I measured 36 inches from the ground, standard to me, but the handbook said 36.42 inches from the post base to the mailbox opening. Mine was measured to the top. Busted. I spent 30 minutes with a shovel, raising the post. By the time I finished, Helen was back, clipboard in hand, looking smug. "Better," she said, jotting a note. "But your truck's parked at an improper angle. Vehicles must be parallel to the property line, not diagonal." My truck looked normal, but Helen whipped out a tool showing my driveway slope to match the land's curve. "Your grandma's driveway was grandfathered in, but parking rules changed in 2019. Another citation. Over 10 days, I got 7 more. My garden statue was non-regulation. My porch light, too bright. Grandma's wildflower patch, not cultivated enough. Each fine, $5,200, came with a personal Helen visit. "I don't make rules for fun, Mr. Sullivan," she'd say. "I taught history for 25 years. Rules build order. Order builds community." Her tone made me feel like a failing student. The fines weren't the worst part. It was Helen's condescending vibe, like I was too slow to get it. Once, I pointed out thought her own property broke rules. Her face tightened, but for a second, I saw doubt before her bossy mask returned. As HOA president, I know which rules apply, Mr. Sullivan. She scribbled harder. Your trash can's visible. Section 12B violation. By week 2, I'd paid $2,800 in fines and was paranoid about leaving the cabin without spotting Helen's car. I researched HOA law online. HOAs had power, but not unlimited. Then I found a clue. One citation referenced a rule amended 3 months ago, banning unapproved garden decor. The original rule only banned offensive displays, and amendments needed a 30-day notice and community vote. No record of either. I called neighbors. Most hadn't heard of rule changes. Time for the HOA board meeting. The meeting was in the community center by the creek. About 15 folks, mostly older, showed up. When Helen opened the floor, I stood, keeping it civil. I wanted to be a good neighbor, but citations like finding Grandma's 30-year-old wildflowers seemed excessive. Helen pounced. Grandfatherings for structures, not landscaping, Mr. Sullivan. Your grandma met standards. Your struggle suggests you need guidance. Some residents nodded, and I felt like a scolded kid. In the parking lot, Sarah Coleman, a paralegal from a newer home, caught me. That was rough, she whispered. Helen's been tougher lately, building her legacy before retiring. She said others got fines too, but most paid to avoid trouble. It feels personal with you. Driving home, I wondered why Helen targeted me. Things were about to escalate. Next morning, Tom Bradley, a 65-year-old HOA board member, knocked. He lived in a big house by the creek and seemed friendly. Jake, sorry about last night. Helen's intense, but she means well. He suggested coffee to strategize. At the cafe, I spilled my story. Job loss, blacklisting, the cabin as my lifeline. Tom nodded, then leaned in. Helen respects cooperation. Show you're in and she'll ease up. He suggested meetings, volunteering, and showing I'm a team player. He'd talk to Helen for me. I felt hopeful, an ally at last. I went full compliance mode, spending my last bucks on approved mailbox paint, swapping wildflowers for shrubs, getting a smaller flag. Tom checked in, praising me. Helen noticed your progress, he said, but something was off. Neighbors. Curtains twitched when I was outside and a jogger passed at weirdly regular times. Then I got an HOA complaint for evening noise from power tools. I hadn't used any. The details matched a chat with Tom about organizing Grandma's shed. I called Tom. His tone cooled. Maybe a misunderstanding, he mumbled, but I knew. He'd snitched to Helen. When I confronted him, he sighed. Jake, I'm sorry. I live here too. Helen asked me to watch you. You'll get it later. My ally was a spy. Neighbors I reached out to were sympathetic but distant. Helen's good for property values, one said. Don't rock the boat, another added. I was on my own. That night, staring. At Grandma's Creek, I saw it wasn't about rules, it was control. Helen's system turned neighbors into informants. Compliance wouldn't cut it. I was her example of what happens when you resist. Then it got worse. Construction noise woke me. Workers were barricading the bridge with a sign, closed for safety inspection. Helen stood there, clipboard ready. Mr. Sullivan, this bridge is unsafe per our safety committee. Access is restricted until repairs. The impact was brutal. Only a 3-mile forest hike or kayak got me to the cabin. No deliveries, no job interviews, no groceries without a trek. My internet crashed, costing 2 consulting gigs. Carrying supplies wrecked me. I dropped 15 pounds in 2 weeks from exhaustion. The bridge was solid. Grandma built it in the 1950s with timber and steel. I'd crossed it as a kid, no issues. Helen's committee was her and Tom, no engineer. When I called her out, she lectured on liability. At the emergency meeting, I hiked in, sweaty, to a packed room. Helen spun her safety story. Some bought it. I explained the hardship, the fake inspection, the suspicious timing, but stress broke me. I'm a person, not a barcode, I yelled. Community or prison? Silence. I'd messed up. Helen let the quiet hang, then said, Mr. Sullivan needs to learn proper ways to raise concerns. I saw a flicker, regret, before she shut me down. Later, I learned she'd faced a resident revolt years ago, hardening her stance against challenges. Residents offered pity, but no help. I called a realtor ready to sell, but in Grandma's chair by her creek, I changed my mind. This was her legacy, her stand against bullies. I wasn't quitting. Next day, I tackled the attic, sorting Grandma's stuff. Behind old magazines, I found a tin with faded flowers, full of surveys, receipts, and love letters from Grandma to Grandpa about their creek life. A 1955 letter mentioned her plan to build a private bridge. Then jackpot, a 1956 county permit for a private bridge with receipts for Sullivan Bridge Tax ID 5570. 11 too, paid yearly, including by me. The bridge was mine, private property since before Willow Creek. County Clerk Martha Evans, Grandma's old friend, confirmed it. She was proud of that bridge, Martha said. Built it, paid taxes, never missed a payment. Records showed it was mine. I met Sarah Coleman at a coffee shop. Her eyes lit up at the documents. Jake, this is huge. The HOA's been trespassing for years. Helen can't close your bridge. We reviewed the airtight papers, permits, tax records. I called Helen. Firm. I own the bridge. Deed, taxes, 60 years of records. We need to talk. Silence. Impossible, she stammered. Bring your documents tomorrow. Her voice shook. She knew trouble was coming. The community center was packed for the emergency meeting. Helen arrived with Tom, 2 board members, a lawyer, and boxes of records. She opened with a speech about frivolous claims. I passed out copies of the 1956 permit and tax records, explaining Grandma's ownership and my payments. This isn't a threat, I said. It's a fact. I own this bridge, residents whispered, reading the official sealed documents. Helen's lawyer looked grim, whispering to her as she paled. Martha Evans stood. I've processed Sullivan Bridge taxes since 1958, she said. Jake owns it like his grandma. You've crossed private property and he's been kind not to charge. Until now. The room buzzed. If I owned the bridge, Helen's closure was illegal, and I could restrict access or charge fees. Her lawyer mumbled about easements, but Martha shut him down. Easements need agreements. Jake's generosity doesn't give rights. Helen tried a speech about protocols, but people left. She approached me, uncertain. Mr. Sullivan, let's talk privately. No lecture this time. Sure, I said, but we start with you admitting you blocked my property and stranded me. She nodded, her control gone. I gave 48 hours to process. Residents apologized, asking about access. I put up a sign. Private bridge, please nod to. Cross, thanks. A rope barrier required a nod to lift. Simple respect. Most complied, relieved. Helen took the long route for 3 days, but finally called for a meeting. At the coffee shop, no clipboard. She looked tired. Jake, you've made your point. This community needs the bridge. Can we compromise? Her hand shook. She was human. My terms. Drop $4,200 in fines. Helen's video apology, an annual Freedom Week with no minor citations, a formal easement, and $25,000 for the easement and harassment. Helen balked, but I held firm. These are lessons. You cut me off for 2 weeks. Actions have consequences. By Monday, the community voted to accept. Helen's apology video was stiff but real. She teared up. The money came from HOA funds, and new rules curbed Helen's power. 6 months. Later, I'm in the cabin by choice. The settlement funded my consulting gig, helping others fight HOAs. I'm a local legend, the guy who won. Grandma's bridge sign reads, built with grit, strong as the woman who made it. Neighbors nod, not from fear but respect. Bullies only win if you let them, and the best defense is proof and courage. Justice was taught, one nod at a time.